Hello YouTube, I am Matt. Welcome to another episode of A Feather and Inkwell. Today's Inkwell review is a short for our YouTubers here, and I'm going to start with the first of the time that I've ever done this. I'm reviewing the Diamine Inkvent Calendar, and we'll start with the first one for December 1st. Join me at the table as we have a look at the first ink. Today at the table we have the Inkvent Calendar from Diamine, and this is the first time I've actually bought one of these. I've been wanting to for some years. I'm always really thrilled with what I see online and other reviewers, and I wanted to get my hands on one this year and join in on the fun. They usually do sell out, so if you have the opportunity to buy one, I highly recommend it. It's 25 unique colors that some of them are released afterwards, some are not, but it's always a joy. Many of them are just little 2-ounce bottles, so you're not going to have a bunch of big bottles sitting around month after month that you have no idea what to do with. You'll probably use up most of them, in a couple of days, because it's literally just enough to give you a taste of what that color could be. And then, of course, the big day is on the 25th, Christmas, and that is the color that they give you the most of. Many of these bottles are released after the fact, or not many, some. The most popular ones are released after the fact, and you can buy them year after year if you really like it. One of such I have is the it's a polar something or another. I have it in many other reviews. I will post it in a link at the bottom. And we'll move on to today's number one. I was actually worried about this a little bit before, how easy it would be to open. But here we have the very first one. Fairly easy to open, guys. Baltic Breeze. And there it is in the camera for you. If that color is not quite picking up, I don't know how well it's going to turn out. It is a very light shaded blue, it looks like. Looks like it has some red shimmer in there, guys. So that's going to be interesting. A light blue with red shimmer and sheen. You could see all that shininess in there. And I'll go ahead and open it up real quick and do a quick swatch on some paper. And of course, as always, I'm going to be using my Rhodia composition notebook, my favorite paper. And for the sample, I'm going to be using my glass dipping pen. To get an idea of how this ink performs. Alright, welcome back. I have undone the large plastic seal that it had all over it, and I've got some supplies from my pen ready to ink up. Never know how tight these things are. It is well shaken, so the color and all the shimmer and sheen should be quite an excellent sampling. Go ahead and really load it up for the first one. This is a fair bit more than you would find in any pen. This is a large amount of ink it's going to put out. Just so I can get an idea of the shade and shimmer that it's going to produce. As I expected, it's kind of a almost metallic looking blue. kind of give it a dry run here, see what I get. Oh wow, that smudge is really light, folks. So that's what we got so far. This is a unique coloring. It's kind of a medium blue. When you have it dark, to my eyes, I don't know how well it shows up on the camera, it turns out really darker, kind of almost a purple. And then when you smudge it, it smudges over blue. And we're going to let some of this dry for a second here, and I'll have a final picture in just a second for you. Alright, and we have come to my final opinion of this ink. And first of all, folks, I want to say this is an absolutely amazing experience. Just in the couple minutes it's taken me to really finalize this up, you could see the shimmer has really settled here at the bottom. You could really see that red shimmer. Here on the paper, you could see it as well. Let me see if I could hold it up for you. Yeah, you could really start to see that shade and shimmer in the dark areas there. When you have it on a really broad, wet nib, it's going to give you something closer to a blurple color. So the edition of this was called the Black Edition. That's what my black box was called when I bought it. So this is kind of a night theme, I would guess, a Christmas night. So this is kind of a blurple with a beautiful red shimmer to it. There, you can really start to see it come out there. A little bit lighter, something close to a medium. When you get down into the fine, it's going to come out this light blue. And then, like I said, here, writing with something closer to a bold or broad nib, you're going to start to really see that darker purple come back into it. Here I wrote with a feather dip pen, and you could see it's coming out nice and shaded, and it is sheening as well. I heavily recommend something that really puts out a lot of ink. Now, with that being said, putting down the most ink on a page, even this is fountain pen paper, and it did some bleeding through all the way to another page. So buyer be warned, user be warned. Using excessive amounts of ink like you would get for a good swatch is probably going to bleed through. This stuff is pretty thin ink. It is not very thick. It's going to go through, but I knew that when I laid it down. And I wanted to see what all of its color range would look like. And I knew if I wanted to get the most shimmer out of it, I'd have to really lay the ink down pretty good in one area. And that's what happens. But normal, just writing with it, doesn't bleed through at all. It writes really nicely. It does take a minute to dry, but that's part of the process of having these really beautiful shade and shimmer inks. And writing with it, it was absolutely beautifully smooth. It flowed well off of my pen. And I was writing with a glass. It was a little bit more challenging with the feather because the type of ink that typically sticks to the steel dipping pens is a little bit thicker and meant to stick, versus this was definitely meant for fountain pens. So if you have a broad or bold nib that's really wet writing and you really want to bring out the Christmas season, I highly recommend getting yourself an Inkvent Calendar. And just as a starting, this Baltic Blue from day one is an absolutely beautiful color to any edition. It will really start off the holiday season. Really brings in the Christmas nights where you're sitting around maybe some kind of fire in a fireplace, or maybe out by a fire pit with friends, some eggnog. Really bringing in the season, guys. Tell me, when and how do you write with fountain pens? Do you like writing during Christmas season? Who do you have over? Write about it in the comments, and hopefully this will be a relatively quick review from here on out. See you later.